It was silence that said what your words never could. My friends, let's get one thing straight. You didn't lose anything by walking away. You simply chose not to beg for what you already deserved. You didn't scream, didn't cause a scene, didn't write some desperate last-minute confession. No, you chose power, you chose stillness, and in that stillness, something started to shift. Not in your life, but in theirs. Because, folks, the moment you stopped showing up, they started noticing everything they took for granted. You disappeared from the stage where they thought they were the main act. And now the spotlight is hitting them in the face, and they can't hide from the emptiness your presence used to fill. Here's the cold, clean truth. People rarely feel your presence when you're always available. But your absence? Oh, they feel that like a slap in the soul. Especially the ones who thought they had unlimited access to you. People don't appreciate warmth until winter hits. They don't appreciate loyalty until silence walks in. You were the lighthouse guiding their ship, and now that you've gone dark, they're out there in open waters, crashing into their own confusion. Let me tell you something they'll never admit out loud. They feel it. Your absence isn't just noticed, it's loud. It echoes in the quiet moments when no one's texting, when no one's checking in, when the same attention they once took for granted is suddenly gone. That silence. It's not empty. It's full of weight, full of everything you used to say, everything you used to give, and everything you used to be, all packaged into one undeniable realization. You were the real one. This isn't fantasy. This is raw psychological truth. The brain doesn't value what's always accessible. Familiarity breeds blindness. But the second you pull your energy back, and I mean truly pull it back, not as a performance, not to get a reaction, but because you finally remembered your own worth, everything changes. That distance, it creates pressure in their world. It forces them to look in the mirror and ask themselves, why did I lose them? And that question alone is enough to haunt them for months. Folks, don't let this world fool you. They'll pretend they're fine. They'll act like they're living their best life. But behind closed doors, they're replaying your last message. They're wondering why you haven't reached out. They're stalking your silence more than they ever watched your presence. Because when you finally stopped chasing, they lost control of the game. The power shifted. And guess what? Now they're the one who feels powerless. This is what Stoicism teaches us. To let go with grace. To detach, not to punish, but to protect our peace. To stop begging for doors that slam in our face and instead build our own. You didn't walk away because you didn't care. You walked away because you realized begging for crumbs in a room you built is beneath your dignity. And if that doesn't wake them up, nothing will. So let me leave you with this. You were never too much. You were just too real for people who weren't ready. They'll come back. Maybe not today, maybe not even next month. But silence is a patient teacher, and time is a relentless mirror. Let them sit with both. Now don't just listen to this and scroll past like nothing hit you. That fire you feel in your chest right now, that chill crawling down your back, that's not coincidence. That's your spirit waking up. That's your power remembering itself. So I want you to claim it. Don't sit there quietly holding this truth. Own it out loud. Go to the comments right now and type, "My silence holds power." Say it with your chest. Say it like you mean it. Like you're done playing small. Like you're finally ready to stop explaining your worth and start embodying it. This isn't just a comment. It's your mark. It's you telling the universe, I no longer chase, I attract. And while you're at it, hit that like button, subscribe, and make sure you stay with me. Because if this one shook your soul, trust me, what's coming next, it'll set you on fire. Number 1. The ego can't stand being ignored. They expected you to fall apart. That's the truth, my friends. They thought silence would break you, not come from you. They thought the moment they turned their back, you'd come chasing, calling, texting, questioning, pleading, because that's how it usually goes, right? Most people, when rejected or ghosted or left behind, crumble. They panic. They want closure. They want answers. They want to feel like they still matter, but not you. You didn't panic. You didn't flinch. You disappeared like fog at sunrise, quiet, calm, and complete. And that shattered their ego. You see, the ego thrives on attention. It feeds off of being wanted, being chased, being needed. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Most people live through their ego without realizing it. And when that ego gets ignored, it screams loudly. It throws tantrums in silence, but not in front of you. No, in your absence, in the quiet moments when they check their phone and see no new message, no missed call, no evidence that you're still orbiting around them. They thought they had you wrapped around their finger, but now that silence is suffocating them. The human mind struggles with what it can't control, and your lack of reaction, that's something they can't control. They don't know if you're hurt. They don't know if you're healing. They don't know if you've moved on or if you're just done. And that uncertainty, my friends, is psychological warfare for the ego. You've turned from a person to a riddle they can't solve, a question they keep asking themselves. Did I matter? Were they faking it? Did I misread their love? Did they already find someone better? Notice how quickly the tables turn. All it took was your silence. But let's be honest, choosing silence wasn't easy, was it? That urge to reach out, to get closure, to defend yourself, to explain your worth. It's loud at first. You have to fight through those long nights where your fingers hover over the keyboard, tempted to send that just checking in message. But you don't. You sit in that discomfort, and you grow through it. That's not weakness. That's power. That's stoicism in action. The discipline of not responding, not reacting, not giving the ego of another person what it craves, your attention. It's like standing in a battlefield and choosing not to swing back because you know the war is already over, because you know your energy is sacred, because you understand what Jung meant when he said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens." You woke up. You stopped chasing dreams made out of other people's validation, and you turned inward. You chose peace over chaos. And now they feel the emptiness they left behind. Your silence did more damage than any words ever could, because words can be twisted, ignored, dismissed. But silence, it's pure, it's undeniable. It forces reflection. It forces confrontation with the self. That's the last place most people want to go, inside themselves. And guess what? You sent them there. You might be wondering, if they really cared, why didn't they just say something? Why didn't they fix it before it got to this point? The answer is simple, yet hard to accept. The ego doesn't apologize until it's humbled. The ego doesn't chase until it feels threatened. And your silence? It's threatening. Not in a malicious way, but in a deeply unsettling way. You stopped feeding the beast. You stopped playing the game. You walked off the stage, and now they're stuck performing for an empty room. Do you know how rare that is? Most people can't handle being ignored. Most people fold. They come back too soon, too desperate, too emotional. But not you. You sat in the fire and let it burn away the weakness. You transmuted pain into wisdom. That's not just healing, that's alchemy. And listen closely, because this part matters. they will try to come back. Maybe not out of love, maybe not out of genuine growth. But the ego doesn't like unanswered questions. The ego hates being left in the dark. It wants to reclaim control, to know it still has access. Don't confuse that with real connection. That's not love, that's possession, that's fear. That's their ego gasping for air. You've got to be strong enough to recognize the difference. You weren't ignored because you weren't enough. You were ignored because they thought you'd always be there. And now that you're not, you've become unforgettable. They can't stop thinking about you because silence left a louder echo than your words ever did. So here's what I want you to remember when those moments of doubt creep in. When you start questioning if they care, if they notice, if they're thinking about you. They do. But more importantly, you know what you're doing. You're not punishing, you're protecting. You're not silent because you're weak. You're silent because you're strong enough to walk away from what doesn't honor your spirit. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's presence, it's power, it's proof that you are no longer a puppet dancing on someone else's stage. You're the one who left the show. And now all eyes are on the empty space where you used to stand. Say this with me now, and don't just think it. Write it in the comments. Claim it out loud. Let the world and your soul hear it. Type, "My silence commands respect." Don't skip it. Type it right now. Let it be your reminder that you are not chasing anyone. You are not proving your worth to people who couldn't see it. You are not breaking your silence to ease someone else's ego. And if this truth lit something in you today, if it reminded you who you are, then hit that like button, subscribe, and stay right here with me. Because this journey, it's only getting deeper. Number 2. Distance triggers. Curiosity. And curiosity is irresistible. There's something strange that happens the moment you go quiet. The air shifts, the energy flips. Suddenly, you're no longer the one waiting for a reply. You're not the one wondering what they think. You've become the question. You've become the mystery. And let me tell you something, my friends. Nothing pulls on the human mind harder than a mystery it can't solve. See, when you were always around, replying fast, always available, showing your care without hesitation, they felt comfortable. Too comfortable. You became predictable. And as much as it hurts to hear this, predictable things rarely keep people's attention. That doesn't mean you were boring. That means you were consistent, loyal, loving. But to someone who feeds off attention and control, that consistency starts to feel like background noise. But then something shifts. You stop explaining yourself. You stop reacting. You stop showing up. And without warning, the person who used to be so easy to read, they've vanished behind a calm, unreadable silence. That, right there, is when curiosity is born. Because you didn't slam the door, you didn't throw a tantrum, you didn't beg or explain, you just pulled away. And now their brain is left running wild, trying to fill in the blanks. Why did they stop calling? Are they seeing someone else? Have they moved on? Did I matter at all? That curiosity is like a leak in the roof. It starts small, but if ignored, it spreads everywhere. It interrupts their day. It colors their conversations. It makes them check your profile when no one's looking, just to see if you're showing signs of missing them. But instead, you're calm, still, powerful, unreachable. That calmness is lethal, folks. That's how obsession starts. Because the more they can't figure you out, the more they start replaying everything, every moment, every message, every laugh. They zoom in on the tiniest interactions looking for clues. They search for meaning in things they once ignored. The very same person who thought they had you figured out is now drowning in their own questions. Carl Jung once said, "Man cannot stand a meaningless life." So what happens when the person who once brought them meaning disappears without explanation? They start looking for meaning everywhere, in your silence, in your stillness, in your distance. And since you're not giving them closure, they start crafting stories in their head, most of which end with them realizing they messed up. That's where regret starts to brew. And here's the beauty of it all. You don't have to say a single word. That's the power of Stoic distance. You don't engage, you don't post to make a point. You simply detach, quietly, completely, and your silence becomes a mirror they can't escape. They project everything onto it, their guilt, their ego, their fears, their fantasies. And that mirror, it doesn't lie. This is why I tell you, don't break the silence just to prove a point. Don't try to explain your worth to someone who's already shown they couldn't see it. Let the mystery of your absence teach them what your presence never could. Let curiosity gnaw at their mind until it cracks open into full-blown realization. They thought distance would erase you, but instead it branded you into their memory. You're no longer just someone they dated. You're the one they can't figure out. And people don't move on from that, not easily. So I want you to say this with me now. Go to the comments and write it down. I am the mystery they can't solve. Say it like a promise, because your distance is doing the work now. Your silence is louder than any speech. And that, my friends, is how power returns to you. Number 3. Familiarity breeds contempt until it's gone. Let me tell you a hard truth that most people don't want to admit. When something is always there, it stops being seen. When you're always available, always kind, always patient, always giving, you stop feeling special to the one receiving it. Not because you lost value, but because they stopped looking. That's what happens when familiarity sets in. They get used to you, comfortable, maybe even bored, and they start thinking, this will always be here. They're not going anywhere. So they start pulling back, answering slower, putting in less effort. They stop saying thank you, stop asking how you're doing. They start assuming you'll always be around, no matter how poorly they show up. And for a while maybe you were, because when you love someone or even just deeply care, you make excuses for them, you give them grace. You hold the door open longer than you should. But one day, something inside you shifts. Not loudly, not with drama, quietly, like the tide going out. You stop showing up, and that's when the gravity hits them. That's when they realize what your presence really was, because now the warmth they overlooked has gone cold. Your laugh isn't echoing in their ear anymore. Your late-night check-ins, your emotional support, your encouragement, your softness, all of it has vanished like mist. And here's the part they weren't ready for. They thought your presence was small, but your absence, it's massive. Now everything reminds them of you. That one song you used to hum, that snack you always brought when they were stressed. The way you'd say their name differently than anyone else. You became a part of their normal, and now that normal has shattered, and they try to fix it the way most people do. They reach for replacements, new conversations, shallow connections, random distractions. But it doesn't work, because you weren't just another person in their life. You were their rhythm. You were the calm in their storm, the softness in a world that's loud and unforgiving. You didn't just talk, you listened. You didn't just exist, you gave. And now they're haunted by the ghost of your kindness, haunted by how easy it was to be loved by you. And now no one feels like you. That's the curse of taking someone real for granted. You don't realize you're bleeding out until the bandage is gone. And you, my friend, you were the bandage. You were the healer, the peace, the light. But they treated you like background noise. And now, that silence is louder than they ever expected. Carl Jung said, Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important. That's the loneliness they feel now. They can't find anyone else who understands them like you did. No one else can hear them the way you did. And maybe now, finally, they understand. Familiarity isn't a reason to stop cherishing something. It's a reason to hold it tighter, but it's too late. And if you're sitting there wondering if they ever miss you, if they ever regret taking you for granted, the answer is yes. Absolutely yes. Maybe they won't say it. Maybe they'll never admit it out loud. But it follows them. It tugs at them in the quiet. It stings when they laugh with someone new and realize it doesn't feel the same. You were not ordinary. You were never meant to be treated like an afterthought. So type it now and let the world know you remember your worth. They didn't lose me. They lost comfort. Drop it in the comments. Say it with strength. Number 4. Distance gives them space to feel the loss. When you were there, always showing up, always softening the impact of life's blows, they never had to face the full weight of what they were doing or not doing. You were their cushion, their emotional safety net. You gave them comfort even when they didn't deserve it. You gave them understanding even when they gave you confusion. And you did it quietly, without asking for credit, without needing applause. Just love, just presence, just peace. But here's the thing, my friends. When you finally stepped back and stopped catching their falls, they hit the ground, hard. Your distance didn't just create silence, it created space. And in that space, the things you were absorbing for them begin to return. The guilt for how they treated you, the shame of their inconsistency, the loneliness they used to ignore because your love kept them full. All of it begins to creep in, slowly, quietly, but painfully. Because for the first time, there's no one there to distract them from themselves. They're not being held anymore. They're not being protected. They're finally sitting in the mess they made. And this is where people either wake up or drown. They don't tell you this part when they talk about distance. They don't tell you how heavy the silence becomes for the one who lost the light. While you're healing, growing, reclaiming your energy, they're unraveling, because you're no longer there to silence their inner critic. You're no longer there to fill the silence with reassurance or validation or soft reminders that they're still loved, still enough. Now, all they hear is their own mind, their own regret, their own emptiness. And maybe they're still out there smiling, posting, pretending, but that doesn't mean they're okay. Don't confuse performance with peace. Most people will fake it because they're too proud to admit they feel the loss. But they do, because your energy had a presence, a frequency, a weight, and now that it's gone, everything feels colder. Carl Jung said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." But you walked away and gave them no choice. You stopped buffering their pain. You stopped translating your needs into silence just to keep the peace. You stopped shrinking so they could feel big. And in doing so, you created a void, one that no one else can fill, not because you're irreplaceable in some arrogant way, but because you connected with them in a way that was rare, deep, and selfless. And they didn't handle it right. Now the silence is their mirror, and it's honest. They used to count on you being the one who never gave up, the one who reached out first, the one who always smoothed things over. But now you're gone, and they're starting to realize how much of their emotional world depended on your strength. You carried both of you for so long, and now they can barely carry themselves. Let them feel it. That's not cruelty, that's growth. That's what your distance was meant for. Not revenge, but revelation. They need to sit with the weight of who you were. They need to feel the ache of what they've lost, and they will. Not in the ways they show the world, but in the quiet, In the moments no one sees, when the noise dies down, and your name comes back to haunt them, not because you left with anger, but because you left with silence. So say this with me. Write it in the comments now and claim your strength. My distance was my answer. Go ahead, type it. Let it be your shield. Number 5. Their new options don't feel like you. When people lose something real, their first instinct is often to replace it, not grieve it, not reflect on it, just replace it, fill the space, distract themselves, prove to themselves and the world that they're fine, unbothered, already moving on. So they find someone new. Maybe it's a quick fling. Maybe it's someone they claim to finally connect with. Maybe they even parade them around like a trophy, trying to send a message to you, to themselves, to anyone watching. But here's the thing, my friends. Replicas can't replace originals. Shadows can't replace the sun. They might find someone who looks good on paper, someone who laughs at their jokes, someone who doesn't question their behavior or demand emotional depth. And at first, it might feel easy, simple, surface level sweet. But give it time, give it silence, because the truth always shows up eventually. This new person doesn't feel like you. They don't think like you. They don't challenge them. They don't carry themselves with that quiet, stoic strength. They don't hold space like you did. They might give them attention, but they don't give them presence. They might show up physically, but emotionally. They're a blank page compared to the poetry you were. And this is when the comparison game begins. Quietly, shamefully, internally. They don't want to admit it, but they start measuring the new against the old. And you, the one they discarded or overlooked, starts haunting them in the spaces they thought were healed. It's not your body they miss. It's your energy, your silence, your soul. Because the new one might respond fast, but they don't say anything that matters. They might be attractive, but they don't understand them the way you did. And that gap, that emotional vacancy, starts to spread like a crack in the foundation. That's the curse of dating someone who once had the real thing. Anything less becomes unbearable. It's like going from a symphony to a ringtone, from a handwritten letter to a copy-pasted text. The depth is gone. The spark is forced. And now, your name is heavy. They bring you up in conversation, then bite their tongue. They scroll past your photo, then double back and stare. Your name, once taken for granted, now stings on their lips. Why? Because it reminds them of what they lost, what they threw away, what they couldn't replace, no matter how hard they tried. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." That's what you were, a transformation. And that's not something you just move on from with a couple dates and an Instagram post. That kind of energy leaves fingerprints on the soul. They might try to act numb, but deep down, they're waking up to something undeniable. You were rare, and they let rare go. So if you're wondering whether they've forgotten you, they haven't. If you're wondering whether the new person has made them move on, they haven't. They might sleep beside someone new, but your memory sleeps beside them too. And that, my friends, is a haunting you don't have to deliver. It delivers itself. So speak this truth and make it solid. Write it down in the comments. I can't be replaced. Say it with your chest. Let it echo in the silence you left behind. Number 6. The human brain craves closure, and you took it away. You didn't give them what they expected, and that's exactly what haunts them. Most people, when things fall apart, expect a scene. They expect shouting, crying, long texts trying to explain what went wrong. They expect closure to come wrapped in neat little words, something they can use to justify their actions and soothe their conscience. But you left differently, No drama, no begging, no goodbye speech. You simply stopped feeding the fire. You left the door open, didn't even slam it, and walked away like a ghost. And that, my friends, is what twisted their mind into knots. Because the brain hates unfinished stories. Psychologists have studied this, the Zeigarnik effect. It tells us that people remember incomplete tasks and unresolved situations more than the ones that are finished. The human brain is obsessed with resolution. It wants to know why. It wants to tie the story up with a bow so it can move on in peace. But when you leave without explanation, when you don't defend yourself, when you don't offer them the comfort of knowing what went wrong, their mind doesn't get to rest. You don't become a memory. You become a question, a cliffhanger. And cliffhangers don't end when the episode's over. They linger. They follow you into the next season, into the next relationship, into the quiet hours of the night when the distractions stop working. That's when they start to feel it. That gnawing, persistent voice that says, "What happened? Why did they go quiet? Were they really done? Did I push them away? Are they gone for good?" You didn't leave them with answers. You left them with themselves. That was the closure, and that is terrifying for someone who's been running from their own reflection, because now they're stuck with their own thoughts, their own actions, their own guilt. There's no one left to blame, no argument to relive, no message to analyze, just silence. That silence, it's deafening, and it gets louder over time. Because while you're healing in peace, they're spinning in confusion. They might pretend they're fine, put on a smile, post selfies, distract themselves with someone new, but deep down, they know they were expecting one last page and never got it. And here's the truth, folks. They'll never get it. Because some stories don't end with a dramatic exit. Some stories end with your peace becoming louder than their chaos. Carl Jung once said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people." And when you walked away without giving them closure, you forced them to face that darkness. You didn't scream. You didn't curse them out. You didn't try to rewrite the ending. You just let them sit with the book they wrote. And now they have to read every page again and again, trying to find where it all fell apart. Eventually, the silence becomes unbearable, and reaching out to you starts to feel like the only way to end the noise. They'll tell themselves it's just to check in, just to see how you're doing. But deep down, what they're really chasing is the closure you refused to give, because you finally gave it to yourself. So if you're sitting there wondering if they're still thinking about you, they are. But not the way you think. Not in a sweet, soft nostalgia, but in restless, unanswered questions. Because while they wanted a clean ending, you gave them the one thing the ego can't handle: an unresolved loss. Say this with me now. No, write it in the comments and own it fully. I owe no closure to those who broke me. Let that be your truth. Let that be your protection. Number 7. Your growth in silence intimidates them. They thought you'd fall apart without them. That's the story they told themselves. That once they pulled away, once they stopped calling, once they ghosted or betrayed or ignored you, you'd be somewhere crying, checking your phone, spinning in circles trying to get their attention. Because that's what they needed to believe. It made them feel powerful, superior, like they had some permanent grip on your self-worth. But the universe had other plans, because instead of folding, you evolved. You went quiet, yes, but it wasn't the silence of someone broken. It was the silence of someone rebuilding. And that silence, that's when it all started. You began pouring energy back into yourself. You got up, even when it hurt. You stopped explaining your pain and started turning it into purpose. While they were watching to see you break, you were in the dark, sculpting a version of yourself they couldn't recognize anymore. Quieter, wiser, more grounded. You spoke less, posted less, moved different. Not out of bitterness, but because peace no longer required an audience. And that, my friends, intimidates the hell out of them. Because people like that, the ones who feed off power games, don't know what to do when you stop playing. They were counting on your weakness. They were counting on you waiting by the door like you always did. But when they looked again, the door was closed, and you weren't there anymore. Not physically, not emotionally, not spiritually. You didn't just stop talking to them, you outgrew them. Carl Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And that's exactly what your silence became, a signal that you were awakening. And now, your transformation has become a mirror they can't look into, because it reflects everything they didn't do, all the healing they avoided, all the growth they postponed, all the strength they pretended they had, but only you truly owned. They see the glow now, even if they won't admit it. They see the shift, the posture, the confidence. They see the power in your restraint. They watch how you don't engage with petty things, how you don't react to the noise. And it bothers them, because in silence you became what they were too afraid to become, whole. And then comes the fear, the quiet panic, the realization someone else might experience this new version of you. Someone else might benefit from the lessons your pain taught you. Someone else might be loved by the version of you they thought they'd broken. And that, folks, is when regret creeps in like smoke under a locked door, slowly, pervasively, and it doesn't go away. You became untouchable, not because you built walls, but because you raised your value. You don't have to scream your worth now. You embody it, and they know they can't reach you the way they used to. That version of you? Gone. And now, they've been replaced, not by another person, but by your peace. So if you're wondering whether they notice, trust me, they do. Whether they admit it or not, whether they reach out or stay silent, they see the glow up, they feel the distance, and it burns, because they lost someone who turned pain into power, and they know they're no longer part of your future. Write this in the comments right now and let it stamp your progress in stone. My silence became my glow. Say it like a badge of honor. Let it be your reminder that healing doesn't have to make noise to be real. Number 8. Memories don't expire. They revisit them when it's quiet. You see, time doesn't delete memories. It just buries them under noise. New routines, new faces, new distractions. It stacks itself like clutter in the mind, making people believe they've moved on. But memories, real ones, they don't expire. They don't fade. They wait. They linger in the background, patient and quiet. And then, in the stillness, when the parties stop, when the phone isn't ringing, when they're lying in bed staring at the ceiling, those memories rise. And when they rise, they hit hard. They hear your laugh in a stranger's joke. They smell your scent in someone else's hoodie. They hear that song. You know the one that always played when you were together, the one that once meant nothing but now cuts deep. They try to act unbothered in front of others, but in those quiet, private moments, they're scrolling through old photos, zooming in on your smile, rereading your messages from when you still cared, revisiting the times when you gave them everything without asking for anything back. And it stings, because it's not just the memories themselves that hurt. It's the contrast between what was and what is, between how safe they felt when they had you and how empty it feels now, between your deep emotional presence and the shallow connections they're surrounded by today. You were a lighthouse, and now they're lost at sea, realizing the light has gone out, and they don't know the way back. And here's the part they won't tell anyone. You gave them memories that no one else has been able to replace. Not because you tried to be unforgettable, but because you were real in a world full of performative love. You gave with your whole heart. You listened with your full attention. You saw them when they couldn't see themselves. And now, every reminder of you feels like a weight they can't put down. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, and your absence has forced them to sit with themselves fully. No more distractions, no more noise, just a head full of memories and a heart full of what-ifs. They thought they could forget you, but how do you forget the one who showed up for your soul? That advice you gave when no one else knew what to say? It still echoes in their mind. That time you laughed so hard you cried. They see it every time they scroll past your old videos or messages. You were more than a moment. You were a chapter. And even if they closed the book, they keep rereading the same page over and over, wondering if they made a mistake. And maybe they won't text you. Maybe pride will keep them silent. But don't confuse silence with forgetfulness. They remember every part of you. And no matter how far they run, they'll keep bumping into pieces of you, songs, smells, words, inside jokes, because when someone touches your soul, they don't just disappear, they echo. So hold your head high. You're not just a memory, you're a presence. You left your mark not by force, but by love, by being real. And real doesn't fade, it replays. Say this in the comments right now and let it be your truth. I'm unforgettable because I was real. Type it. Own it. Let it be your affirmation that you were never easy to replace because you were never pretending. Number 9. You pulled the power back. And they want it again. You want to know the real reason they circle back? Why they suddenly reappear after ignoring you, undervaluing you, discarding you like you didn't matter. It's not just because they miss you. It's not because they had some divine revelation about your worth. It's because you pulled your power back, and now they feel weak without it. That shift, that moment where you stopped needing their validation, where you stopped showing up, texting, explaining, chasing, that was the earthquake that broke their illusion of control. People who rely on power imbalances panic when you stop playing your part. They were used to you being the consistent one, the available one, the open door, the one who forgave fast, responded quickly, and loved hard. But when you stepped back, everything tilted. That silence they once weaponized, you turned it into your sword. That attention they used to feed on, you took it away. Now they're starving, not for your love, but for the power your presence used to give them. They're not coming back because they suddenly know how to love you. They're coming back because the dynamic shifted, and now they're the ones stuck in uncertainty. They're the ones staring at their phone, wondering if you'll respond. They're the one feeling confused, abandoned, forgotten. And here's the hard truth most don't talk about. Some people don't come back because they love you. They come back because they hate losing control. You see, it's not just emotional, it's energetic. When you were chasing, they were calm, detached, powerful. But now that you've pulled your energy inward, into your healing, your silence, your peace, they feel the gap. That imbalance they used to benefit from, gone. And it shakes them, because people like this don't miss you when you're around. They miss the version of themselves they got to be when you were giving them everything for free. Carl Jung once said, "Power is the ability to cause or prevent change." And you, by walking away, caused a change they couldn't prevent. You interrupted their cycle. You removed your energy from their life, and now they want it back. Not because they're ready to love you better, but because they feel small without it. Your absence made them question their control, their worth, their ability to keep someone as real as you in their orbit. And now they watch you from afar, becoming harder to read, harder to reach, harder to predict. You're no longer their comfort. You're the storm they can't track. You don't beg. You don't chase. You've become an enigma, unbothered, calm, powerful, and that drives them mad. Let's be clear, this isn't about vengeance. You didn't become powerful to make them suffer. You became powerful because you remembered who you are. You became powerful because you had to. You were tired of shrinking just to be seen, tired of bending just to be tolerated. You pulled your power back not to hurt them, but to finally heal you. So when they come back, and they will, pay attention to why. Is it love, or is it ego? Is it growth, or is it panic? You're no longer desperate for answers. You're not the same person who would have settled for breadcrumbs. You're the one who walked away with dignity and came back to yourself. Say this with me right now. No, type it in the comments and let it hit the universe like thunder. I pulled my power back. And here's what it all comes down to. Distance didn't push them away, it pulled you back into your power. You stopped chasing, and suddenly they had to face everything you once protected them from. Now you're the one they can't forget, the mystery they can't solve, the silence that speaks louder than words. If this message reminded you of who you are, then don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe for more truths just like this, and share it with someone who needs the reminder. Stay with me, because your story of power is just beginning.